Almost every mythology promises that good wins in the end. The Norse promised the opposite. They believed in a final battle called Ragnarök, and they knew, with absolute certainty, that the gods would lose. Odin gets devoured. Thor dies. The sun goes out, the stars fall, and the world sinks into the sea. And the gods knew it was coming the entire time. Today we're telling the complete story of Ragnarök, the death of the gods, and why a people who believed their gods were doomed found that idea not depressing, but the bravest thing imaginable. To understand Ragnarök, you have to understand that the Norse gods lived under a death sentence. Odin, obsessed with knowledge, had sought out the prophecies of the future, and what he learned was unbearable. He saw the exact way the world would end. He saw himself die. He saw which monsters would kill which gods. And here's the crucial thing, he could not stop it. Norse fate doesn't work like that. What is foreseen will happen, no matter what. So Odin spent his entire reign preparing for a battle he already knew he would lose. Every choice he made, collecting fallen warriors in Valhalla, gathering wisdom, sacrificing his own eye and hanging himself for the runes, all of it was Odin trying to be as ready as possible for an end he could not escape. That's the shadow hanging over every Norse myth. The gods are not immortal. They are living on borrowed time, and they know exactly how much is left. Ragnarök doesn't begin with a battle. It begins with a winter. The Fimbulwinter, 3 winters in a row, with no summer in between. The world freezes. Crops fail. And as people starve, society collapses into something worse than the cold. Brothers kill brothers for food, all morality breaks down, and the Norse texts describe it as an axe age, a sword age, a time when human beings turn on each other completely. That moral collapse is the real first sign. Then the cosmic bonds start to break. Remember Fenrir, the great wolf the gods chained with a lie? His bindings finally snap. The world serpent, Jormungandr, so vast it circles the entire earth, thrashes up out of the ocean, causing floods and tidal waves. And a ship appears, Naglfar, a ship built entirely from the untrimmed fingernails and toenails of the dead, and it sets sail, crewed by giants and the forces of the underworld, steered toward the realm of the gods. 2 wolves that have chased the sun and moon across the sky since the beginning of time finally catch them and swallow them. The sky goes dark. The stars vanish. And everyone, gods, giants, monsters, and the dead, knows the day has come. Heimdall, the watchman of the gods, who can see and hear across all the realms, has been waiting for this moment his entire existence. He raises the great horn, Gjallarhorn, and blows a blast that echoes through all 9 worlds. It's the call to the final battle. From Valhalla, the doors swing open, and Odin's army marches out, the Einherjar, the greatest warriors who ever lived, the ones Odin has been collecting and drilling for exactly this day. 800 warriors march from each of Valhalla's 540 doors. The gods arm themselves. Odin dons his golden helmet and takes up his spear. Thor grips his hammer. And across the field assembles everything that hates them, Fenrir, his jaws so wide they stretch from the earth to the sky. Jormungandr, the world serpent, spitting venom across the air. The fire giant Surtur, marching from the south with a flaming sword brighter than the sun. Loki, who long ago turned from the gods' companion into their enemy, steering the ship of the dead. The 2 sides meet on a vast plain called VGR. And the end of the world begins. The battle is not a clash of equals. It's a series of duels, each one foretold, each one ending in death. Odin charges Fenrir, the wolf he has dreaded his entire life. And the prophecy holds, the wolf is simply too vast. Fenrir swallows the All-Father whole. The king of the gods, the wisest being in the cosmos, devoured by the monster he betrayed. But Odin's son Vidar avenges him instantly. He steps onto the wolf's lower jaw with a specially made boot, grabs the upper jaw, and tears Fenrir apart. Thor faces his ancient enemy, the world serpent Jormungandr. It's the rematch they've been heading towards since the beginning. Thor wins. He crushes the serpent's skull with his hammer. But the serpent has one last act. As it dies, it drenches Thor in a flood of venom. Thor manages 9 steps away from the corpse, and then falls dead, killed by the poison of the enemy he just defeated. The god Freyr, who long ago gave away his magic sword for love, faces the fire giant Surtur with no real weapon, and dies for that choice. Heimdall and Loki, Watchman and Trickster, ancient enemies, kill each other. Tyr, the one-handed god, falls. One by one, the gods die exactly as Odin foresaw. And then Surtur, the fire giant, raises his flaming sword and sweeps it across the entire world, and sets everything ablaze. The 9 realms burn. The earth itself, scorched and broken, sinks down beneath the rising sea. The water closes over everything. Silence. Darkness. The world is gone. Out of the black water, something impossible happens. The earth rises again. Green. New. Clean. The fires are out, the floods recede, and a fresh world emerges, more beautiful than the one that died. And it isn't empty. A handful of gods survived the battle, the younger generation. Odin's sons Vidar and Vali. Thor's sons, who inherit their father's hammer. And, returning from the dead, the beloved Balder, the gentle god whose death began the whole spiral, walks back into the light, reconciled with the brother who killed him. They gather in the green grass of the new world and find, lying there, the golden game pieces the old gods once played with, relics of the world that was. And humanity survives too. 2 people, a man and a woman named Eliaf and Lithrasir, hid themselves deep inside the world tree, Yggdrasil, sheltered through the fire and the flood. They walk out into the new dawn to begin the human race again. And a new sun crosses the sky, the daughter the old sun gave birth to before the wolf swallowed her, now taking her mother's place. This is what makes Norse mythology unique. The end is not the end. It's a cycle. The world dies, and the world is reborn, and the survivors carry the memory of what came before into something new. So the Norse believed their gods were doomed, and they loved them more for it. Because Ragnarök isn't really a story about defeat. It's a story about how you face an ending you can't avoid. The gods knew they would lose. They sharpened their weapons, gathered their friends, and marched out to meet the wolf anyway, with courage, with humor, with no illusions. To the Norse, that was the highest form of heroism there is, to do what's right even when you know how it ends. If you want to understand the god at the center of all this, Odin, and the unbelievable price he paid for the wisdom to see his own death coming, that's our next video. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the new world.